Y'all, good morning. How y'all doing? Oh, it is a great day, okay? Let me tell y'all, it is a great day. It truly is a blessed day. I say it is called a great day in the morning time, but it's get ready to be the afternoon. But anyhow, I just wanted to reach out to y'all and say, that I was going to go over, yesterday, but I'm past it for real. I'm over it. You know what I'm saying? I'm refreshed. I'm not even, thinking about yesterday. I'm looking to tomorrow and today. But since I did promise y'all that I was going to, go over everything with y'all about what happened, then that's what I have to do. So I'll have to revisit this. Okay? So yesterday I said that I was going to rent a car to do some deliveries for the day because I had, I could have had some major deliveries done yesterday and it would have, benefited me a lot. And, Smokey and the Bandit a lot. So I said, let me get this car and get this, get this money, y'all. And ain't no looking back from here. Okay, so we reserves the rent a car and I'm like, I want to reserve it, and get in and get out as fast as possible, because nobody has time to be waiting at no counter and doing this and doing that. So I opted to, do everything online and then, go to the store and pick up the keys. So I did that, and it was you see, one thing I don't like about dealing with big business is that when you go to them, a lot of times you're redirected to somewhere else, and that's what I'm finding out is that when you use their online feature, budget rent a car, it's redirecting you to one of their third party, people that they use. And I did that. And I wasn't, alarmed or anything like that because sometimes that's normal in business. So, that wasn't no red flag or nothing like that. So, we get the confirmation numbers and all that. We head on down to budget. But my sister Nita was with me and Lizzie, my baby. And Nita was like, don't be get down there acting all crazy if they ain't, got what you want, or if everything don't go right like how you plan. So I'm like, okay, what is that, baby? Team, hold on, let me finish talking before I forget my train of thought. Hold on, watch out. So I said, we got the reservation and we went down there to pick up the car. So Nita was like, don't have me going down here and you acting like how you act. 'Cause, she knows me. She knows how I rock. Okay. And she was like, please don't get me down there doing that. I said, sister, I ain't gonna do that, honey. Listen. I said, this thing is, it's legit. That's okay. I said, and even if just, just say for instance, if we got down there and then they said you're burnt, we don't know what you're talking about or whatever. We ain't got no number card for you or no reservation number. I would have just said, oh, they got me. You know what I'm saying? And I would have just turned around and you know, called my card that has stuff, canceled, and you know how you can do dispute the transaction and stuff like that. So I feel my money's always protected. So it didn't, really phase me or bother me like that, what she was saying at the time. Until we got down there, and number one, when we got down there, it was freezing in there. It was like a daggone morgue in there. It was so cold that I couldn't even stand in the store. I was like, it was so I went outside. I said, need to handle this because it's too cold in here. So I stand out there and I'm, get ready to smoke my cigarette and, wait for them to come on out. We hop in this car and drive off into the sunset. So I look in the window and I'm like, that's taking so long. So I look in the window and I'm like, the body language was, that they was giving, it wasn't, promising to me. So I peeked my head in the door. I'm like, what's going on? And he's mumbling, the guy, looking over, mumbling, typing on the computer. So I come in and they're like, well, first of all, we don't have this car. that that they reserved for you. And I don't know why they always doing this and doing that. And I'm like, well, listen, to myself, I'm saying, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Whatever y'all going through or whatever, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I just paid almost 700 daggone dollars. So I know I'm getting me a car today. So I ain't worried about what you feel about, who I went through or whatever. I'm here for my car. I done paid, got my reservation, let's get it. And here he go, well, we don't got the car for one. And then number one, you don't got the deposit on here. And I'm like, what you mean I don't got the deposit on there? I paid the deposit. I paid everything online so that way I don't have to, deal with y'all. And he was kind of upset. It seemed to me like that. We didn't bring our money to him. We did it online. And I'm like, what's the problem? We did it online. It was with budget. It's the same. You're all the same damn people. But I don't give a damn if it's corporate and franchise and all. Y'all the same under the same umbrella. Y'all are the same. Y'all represent the same people. That is why, they have these call centers and stuff. Even though they might be owned by different franchisees or whatever may be the case, they all go to wherever you're going to, rent your car at. So you can't call um budget directly, the Fraser office. You have to call the call center, and then once you call the call center, they redirect you to the Fraser office. You never be able to call the people directly, you know. And I don't like that because I want to speak to you directly, period, anyway. But it's a process for certain businesses and stuff. You just can't get to some of them like that. You have to go through the call center. So I respected the process. And we went and got the card, the everything done. We got the money, we got the reservation, we even got some extra, add-ons done. And honey, when he was like, you don't got the deposit on here, I said, that is impossible. I paid the deposit. Like, it just don't make no sense why you would think I didn't pay the deposit. But I ended up paying the deposit twice because the first time he said something about something, 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 something. And I understood what he was talking about because I remember, when I was in there doing it, that I, had did some misinformation because I was, at first trying to, rent it for Smokey and the Bandit under the business. But then I seen that wasn't working. After I paid the daggone deposit, for some reason, it still wanted me to, do the deposit at the store. So I'm like, well, it ain't giving me a chance to do the, reservation and deposit at the same time. So I called them and I wanted to know how can I do my reservation and deposit at the same time. And he explained to him, he said, we can do that. He said, but you just gonna have to pay the deposit again because something, 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 something. And you'll be able to get that money refunded. It'll be on your card, within the next day or so, whatever. I'm like, cool, that's only like 100 and something dollars. I ain't, tripping over that because y'all gonna put it back in a couple days. So um, I did that and they didn't they put the reservation through again with the the new money on there and with the deposit on there. So I said, okay, so we'll get the money back later for that. So that wasn't the problem. The problem was is that when I got there, he tried to tell me that I didn't pay the deposit at all. Now listen, I paid not one deposit, but I paid two deposits. And I paid for the reservation. Basically, I paid two reservations and one deposit. Well, when he tried to tell me I only got the reservation in there and not the deposit, I said, well, hold on now. Y'all getting y'all communication lines crossed because I spoke to your customer service representatives and they said that I could give them my deposit, give them my reservation money, and all I have to do is come in here, get the keys, and leave. So he's telling me, oh, I hate when they do that and this and that. And I'm like, well, still, once again, that don't got nothing to do with me. I paid my money, just, give me my card and my keys so we can go. And there still was a problem. So I'm like, I'm not trying to understand. Like, if I come into an establishment and I tell you that I pay XXXYZ and, this and that and so on and so forth, you would think that they would reach out to somebody, within their business or something to find out, if I'm legit or anything. You have my reservation, so you do know that it is real, the thing that I went under, so I was dealing with y'all people because the same reservation that, you was given, I was given. In your system that you have is the same reservation number that I have. So therefore, we're dealing with the same people, but it's just a lack of communication between y'all, right? So my whole thing is that they are billionaires, the owners of the company. Their budget, they've been around for years and years and years. And if they ain't billionaires, this is probably why, you know, because of the way that they do people. So I'm like, that just don't make sense to me that y'all would have these things in place and y'all not communicating amongst each other. So to make a long story short, I'll say, let me call the people that I talked to who gave me this reservation number. Since he's not calling anybody, I said, let me be the one to call. So I need some water, honey. Hold on, y'all. Mindy is so thirsty. I got my water right here. Oh, baby, I'm parched. So I'm like, wow, let me call them. Because it doesn't seem to me like he wants to, go above and beyond to help me. Now, he got a lot of, things he got to say and a lot of opinion, you know, but he's not doing what I would expect a customer service representative of a brand to be like. So not only did I had to take it upon myself, to call them, you know, while I'm on the phone with them, it got heated because I'm like, why would you tell me that I'm coming to get a car that y'all know that y'all don't have, or y'all didn't even check to see if they had it? Like, why would you take all my money and then, in the pretense that you're giving me a car that y'all don't have? That's almost like false advertisement. Like, that's bad to me. So I'm like, wow, like they really did that. And then not only did they do that, they said, well, we're going to refund you your money. And I said, well, that's fine. How long will it take for the money to hit back on my car? Because you're not the only rental company, in the area. So he's like, it's going to take 5 to 7 business days or something, something, something. I'm like, huh? It didn't take you 5 to 7 business days to take my damn money. Okay? So why would I have to wait 5 to 7 business days for y'all to return my money? You see, that's where they get things messed up. I shouldn't have to wait 5 to 7 business days for you to return my money because as soon as I spent my money went directly into your damn account. How do I know? Because I have a business. Okay? I know how it works. That money, whatever you spend, it doesn't sit in the air for 24 hours. That money goes straight into an account that is withdrawable immediately by the owner. So therefore, why do I have to wait 5 to 7 business days when it didn't take you 5 to 7 business days? It took you 2.5 seconds to take my money. So I would like my money back in 2.5 seconds. Hello? So I don't think that's a problem, and I don't think that I'm crazy, for asking that. So yes, when he said 5 to 7 business days or 7 to 10, whatever he said, yes, I was very upset. So he says, hold on. I said, okay. So in the meantime, while he's saying, hold on, the gentleman at the counter is telling me, oh, to be quiet, I'm too loud. He's trying to handle customers. I said, excuse me? I said, sir, I said, excuse me? I said, I'm a customer. I said, I am a customer. Matter of fact, I was a customer way before they was. So whatever happened, the first come, first serve. I don't care about them right now. I care about me because I spent money just like they did. So what is the difference between them and me that they can walk in here and get a car and I can't walk in here and get a car? So I'm a customer just like they are, sir. Just like that. So he pissed me off with that. Now me and him was getting along very well until he said that, crazy, stupid stuff. Because I'm a customer too, damn it. So what about me? So I'm acting up over my damn money. What are you afraid that they're going to hear me complain and not, do business with y'all? No, I want them to know what the hell happened to me. So, it got heated. So then, after all that, the customer service representative gets back on the phone and he says, motherfucker, you got a refund. And I thought I was hearing things. So I was like, I know, no, I knew he didn't. Just say, motherfucker, you just got a refund. So I said, excuse me, so what did you just say? And he said, I said, motherfucker, you just got a refund, you bitch. He said, fuck you, you asshole. Listen, I was in the twilight zone. I was in the twilight zone. I could not believe that this man done took my damn money, cussed me out, and I didn't even get a damn car. I was done, y'all. I said I was so daggone done, I could have cried. But I didn't cry. I got angry. And when I tell y'all I got angry, this dude behind the thing said, I'm calling 911. I said, go right ahead. I said, please call 911. I said, because I just got robbed, okay? So then he's on the phone with the people from 911 and he over there whispering and, looking and I'm looking at us. I just acting like I got a bomb or something. So I walked over to the desk and I said, officer, I said, excuse me. I said, I'm here because I just got robbed. I said, I don't understand why he called 911. I said, I should have been the one calling 911. Okay, and then I thought of it, ding, call 911. So honey, me and him both was on the phone calling 911. And I was on the call talking to the dispatcher. He was on the call talking to the dispatcher. I said, because he is not going to be able to go in there and lie and say I did this and I did that when all I did was get robbed. Okay? So I called him and gave him my version of what happened. Yeah. So I told the officer, I said, I got robbed. I said, they took $700 out of my account, told me they had a car down here for me, and I get down here, they ain't even got no daggone car for me, and then they gonna tell me my money's coming back in 5 to 7 days or whatever, and he ain't even budged a bit to call nobody and find out what the heck is going on with my money and this car. So I feel like I got robbed. So they was like, oh, calm down, sir, calm down. I said, I'm not calming down. I said, let somebody rob you or take all your damn money and let somebody tell you calm down. I said, I'm not calming down. No, I said, I'm not calming down. I'm not leaving here until I get my money back or I get a car that I was promised. And, oh, honey, next thing I know, it was all these cop cars everywhere. And the man must have thought I was going to be scared or something. I'm sitting here saying, I'm not scared. I said, this is ass backwards. I said, because I'm the one that should have called 911, which I did later on after he tried to call 911 on me, going off about my money. So, they called the cops, and I got because I never got my money back like they took my money. I'm getting my money back, but I'm not getting it back in the expediency that it was taken from me. And I don't appreciate that because I feel as though if they take your money, they should be able to give you your damn money back just as well as they took it. Because they can. It is possible. It is possible. I know. I've been in this game for a long, long time. So I know what they can do and what they can't do. They can give you your money. So Congress needs to make a law that the minute they take your money for a refund or anything, they should give you your money back immediately. You should never have to wait once they take your money. That is a big inconvenience, and it is a false, fake process that they are using to get ahead and take our money, invest it in whatever they're doing, and then give it back to us when they're ready to give it back to us. That is bull. Do you know what they can do with money in 7 to 10 days once the market closes and opens and doing this and getting sold and doing this and doing that with your money? You know, maybe that could be the reason why they're scamming us like that. Maybe they're taking our money and getting a 7-day return on it. Like nobody knows. You know, like when I worked at KFC, the same thing was happening to customers down there. Their money was being taken off the card and they was being told that their stuff was denied. You know, so how many times does that happen to somebody before somebody notices it and it gets swept under the rug? You know, so like they is crooks on the low. And then if you look, be aware of 53 cents and 25 cents and 75 cents, you know, deposits being taken out of your accounts, because a lot of that is going on too, y'all. Our eyes need to get opened up to big business. They be robbing people on the low. On the low, they rob people. So pay attention to your bank accounts. Pay attention. Just pay attention, period. Because they are like, they vicious. I got robbed by a reputable company, you know, that been around for years and years and years. That has money, that has no need to take people's money like that. They have no need to scam you like that. They have so much money, but why are they doing that? You know, money is greed, power, you know. So I can't explain to you why a rich person steals from somebody, you know, but it's happening. And it's happening to the small people, people that don't have a voice, you know, people that sometimes don't have nobody to speak up for them. You know, so I speak up for myself. And, you know, people don't like when you speak up for yourself. And I had to speak up for myself yesterday morning, because if I did not speak up for myself, I wouldn't have got a dime back, you know. And I'm still on it. Y'all can tell me anything y'all want to tell me, but I'm getting a paper trail about this refund, because I feel as though that a refund don't take that long, you know. And I might have my money back, you know, today, because I got an appointment with, you know, the corporate office today. I don't play with these people. I nip stuff in the bud. So, you know, I just want to, you know, let people know that, you know, that this thing is deep going on. You know, the things that's going on. And, you know, had I, you know, really reacted and went off, I would be in handcuffs right now. You know, and maybe that's their goal, is to do that to people. You know, but you know, it just don't make sense, the things that are going on. So basically, I got robbed yesterday. I got cussed out yesterday. And I will say this, that because I like to keep it 100, you know, with people at all times, I keep it 100. The man from the place called me back late last night. I got a call. And, you know, he was explaining to me, he was trying to explain why that gentleman spoke to me like that. And I really could not understand, you know, why he spoke to me like that. And his explanation, I wasn't trying to hear. But you know, when you got to be real with yourself, and when you're trying to be better and do better, then, you know, it's going to be some things that you might not want to hear. So, the man... He told me that the reason why you was disrespected by this gentleman is because you was being disrespectful and rude to him. Now, all y'all know, you know, in America, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, that in other countries, the message just now I had to read, but it's important that I did read it. Um, Damn, I forgot where I was at. Jesus, y'all help me out. What was I just thinking about? I hate when I get distracted when I'm talking about something, especially something that's so important, you know. But damn, Eric, what was I talking about?
Last I heard was corporate big business ripping off the little niggas.
Oh, that was so many minutes ago, y'all. Oh, listen, y'all. Oh my God, what was I talking about? Oh, well, whatever happened. Okay, we was talking about the gentleman cussing me out and why he cussed me out. And then I went along to say to y'all that, I'm trying to be better and do better. And when you know better, you do better. So I really am trying and struggling with trying to do better with this and a lot of things. So when he said that to me, I was like, damn, that's deep. You got the balls to tell me that I was wrong and he was justified by cussing me out. And then, in America, that is, in America, you call people, and our thing is what we tell our customer service representatives is that, you know, the customer's always right, and we gotta respect the customer, and this and that, and this and that. Always remain professional, and this and that, and this and that, and this and that. And that's very true for our customer service in the USA. So you do know that in other countries, you know, when our customer service that we have, our niceties and stuff like that. In a lot of other countries, they are suspicious of that. They think we're overly friendly, and that's suspicious. They are suspicious of that. So it's like we have culture shocks, different cultures and stuff like that. So in their country, where they're from, you don't speak to people, out of turn. You don't speak to people disrespectfully. If somebody tells you something, you trust them blindly. That's how they are. They really are like that. And and I'm like, well, I did get smart, even though I was upset. I might not have, went on like, in on him like I did, the other dude. But I did go in on him a little bit, maybe. Maybe just a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I don't even remember. I just remember being upset about my money. So, but it could be possible because I've been known to, but I have never, ever, 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 ever teed off on an innocent person, and that is true. They tried it in some way, form, or fashion. So, that's what happened. But the man said that I got cussed out by the representative because I was getting mean and nasty with him, and I had to accept that because, even though we are dealing with a lot of people online, did you know that a lot of people that we talk to online is not even living in the United States of America? They're from different countries and stuff like that, but yet they work for American companies, so they go off of their culture, honey. You hear me? They're not going off of America culture because a lot of them that work over here and you see and talk to because they speak good English don't mean that they're going to ever step foot in the United States. So their culture is their culture. Okay, so I got told that I got laid out and cussed out because I was being mean and nasty to them. And I had to accept that. So that is true. We got to watch how we talk to people and how we talk to one another. Even if that person is, doing a business or at a job or whatever, they only doing what they told to do for their job. So it's not really their fault that we're angry and upset, So we got to learn, but who do we talk to? Who do we take it out on? Because we'll never see the big people, They little people just like we are. So, they don't deserve to be spoken to like that. So I learned a valuable lesson yesterday. And that is, even if I'm upset with, the people that's doing business, it ain't really them, it's the people that's above them. But, I gotta respect that because all the way up until through the whole conversation and the whole transaction with the people up until I went to the place was pleasant. You know what I'm saying? And there wasn't none of that. But until I, found out I wasn't getting what I wanted, and they took all this money, and it was a process of me getting back, which is their process. There's nothing I could do about that. But I am upset about the process of the money because I do know that if you take my money in 2.5 seconds, when I want it back, I should get it back in 2.5 seconds. So I don't think I'm mad about, wrong about being mad about that. It's just that we got to watch how we treat one another and how we treat people. So I get it, and it was a messed up day yesterday. They called 911 on me. I called 911 on them, honey. And the cops came and the parking lot was lit up. Okay. But, I learned my lesson. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably ain't. Stop dealing with these people online so much. Go to a place and, handle your business. And then my baby, I was terrified. But like I told her, every cop is not a bad cop, y'all. No, they're not. Because, if somebody do something to her and we're not around, I expect her to call 911.
But what did they?
But how's she going to call 911 when she fears them too? So like I told her, we're teaching her that every cop is not a bad cop.
Speed dial.
I know you do, and your father's going to tell you the same thing. So, we're trying to explain to her that, every cop is not a bad cop because they're not. But, when they watch the news and little kids see and hear things, so they, she's afraid of them. She really is. Like PTSD afraid. So, we got to work with her on that. Like I spoke, we was with a cop one day and I was explaining, not we weren't with a cop, but a cop was there and she was, having her little moment. And, I explained to her, and then a cop must have heard us talking. He was like, yeah, sweetheart, there is some bad cops out there. He said, but I'm not one of them. And I believe she could tell because she picks up on energy of people. She really does. And she'll know, that all cops ain't bad. And, like the cop told her, I'm not a bad cop, and I hope one day we'll be able to be friends, And I respect that because, like I said, every cop is not a bad cop. That don't make me no damn cop, so don't be, I'm not a cop. I'm just respecting the process, okay, for these babies. But anyhow, I'm going to let y'all go today. I got to get back to work. I got some stuff I got to do. But I want y'all to do what, Lizzie?
Babe.
Thank you. Have a blessed day on purpose, y'all. I'm not going to hold y'all. I got work to do. But I'll sit here and run my daggone mouth all day. And guess what? Y'all will let me. Bye.